Okay, you know what? We've got a nice turnout so far. We probably will still have some people joining us. Hopefully, we'll have a few more, but we won't hold up the meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we will just let people in as they join us. Okay, so with that said, let me find my notes here. So first of all, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Margie Franker, president of the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. I just have a few brief bit of housekeeping items to cover. Um, we will have all attendees muted during the program to avoid any background or feedback noises. So if you have a question, please use the chat function on your screen, and we'll address those questions at the end of the presentations. If we don't get to all the questions due to time constraints, we will follow up in an email to all of our volunteers, or you're welcome to contact us through the partnership website at marble-coldwater.org. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our website after tonight. To get started, I'd like to make introductions. Once again, first, my name is, again, it's Margie Franker, and I have a home on Coldwater Lake in the Shawnee Shoals neighborhood. My husband and I purchased here in 2023 after spending 25 years on a very clear oligotrophic lake in Wisconsin. So water quality was my top priority when choosing a lake home, which is what brought us here to Coldwater. After a short time here, I began to notice changes in water clarity. As I looked into what was being done to protect the lakes, I was surprised to learn that there was no watershed management plan in place. The Coldwater Lake Association took that concern seriously and formed a Lake Environment Improvement Committee, which I chair. As the committee dug deeper, we realized there wasn't a watershed plan for any of the lakes on the chain. And at the same time, residents from the other lakes were asking the same questions. And we came together to form the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. And that's why we're all here tonight. I'd like to introduce our speakers for this evening, who also serve on the board of this partnership. First is Linda Pellegrini, who has a home on Archer Lake and serves as our grassroots leader, helping connect residents across the lake communities. Linda, would you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about why this work is important to you?
Okay, Linda Pellegrini, again, right on Archer Lake. We've been here for 35 years, raised 4 children, skiers, boaters, and that love of the lake and boats have transferred to their children now. I'm passionate about having not only our lakes, our chain, to be beautiful today, but for longevity. Whoever comes here way after me and my family, I would like them to be as usable and beautiful as they are today.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, next, I would like to introduce Kirsten Feltz from Crystal Beach on Coldwater Lake. Kirsten is our Facebook administrator and the creative mind behind the Water Quality Wednesday posts you may have seen on the Coldwater Lake Association page. Kirsten, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get involved?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten Feltz, and I'm a fourth generation owner on Coldwater. And I've spent every summer of my life out on the lake with our long history here. And I have a professional background in environmental science and public policy. So getting involved in the Clean Water Partnership felt like a really natural way to help protect what we all love.
Thank you, Kirsten. And finally, Greg Cavey is vice president of the partnership. He has taken the lead on our cooperative lakes monitoring program efforts. He'll be very involved in our next meeting, which is on April 21st, that involves the lake monitoring volunteers. Greg, would you please say hello and let us know what your interests are in this work?
Hello, everyone. My name's Greg Cavey. I live on Marble Lake on the east side of the lake towards the south end. I've been in this community about 10 years now, coming from Kalamazoo, following a almost 40-year career in science, pharmaceutical drug development, and such. And my science background kind of, when I heard about this initiative, my science background and mind kind of took over and said and asked the question, what do we really know scientifically about the lake, data wise, lake ecology wise, etc. I mean, I share the same uh, concerns and aspirations of the other people involved here about, wanting the water quality and the lake accessibility be available for generations. So I started really looking at what data we have, and we have some, and the data we do have is showing water quality degrade, uh, including what we see visually with our eyes that often can't be quantified. So we really do need information out there about the lack of information and what we're trying to do to get that information and make informed decisions about what can and what should be done to preserve our lakes.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen and briefly walk us through the agenda for the evening. No, you should just have a link.
I got this.
Okay, you know what? It's okay. We got it covered. Just sit with me and we'll cover. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. And whoops, I want to go to our PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Okay, so this is the agenda for the evening. First of all, the title of the presentations are called Community Outreach Volunteer Training. Now, if you're not planning on volunteering, please don't get off the call. There's a lot of information in here that we just want to share with the community. So while it's kind of geared towards our outreach volunteers, we definitely want to share this information with everybody. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is we're going to cover our overall outreach approach. Then we're going to talk about key stewardship topics to share with the community. This includes our best practices. Okay. Then we'll talk about why a watershed management plan matters and how to navigate sensitive or differing viewpoints. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with a demo to show you how you can sign up for the Grassroots Initiative. Okay. And with that said, we'll go right to our next slide, and I would like to turn this over now to Linda.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. This is an overview of our water management plan. It's a science-based watershed management plan. Our goal is long-term water quality protection that supports clean, swimmable water, healthy fisheries, strong, okay. Our approach is,
I'm sorry.
that's okay, sustainable recreation and ecological balance.
Okay, now I'll advance for you.
There we go. Our approach. We are gathering data, which is so important, educating residents and listening to community input before any recommendations are finalized. We are committed to a data-driven decision-making, respectful community engagement, transparency in our entire process, balanced resource management, and long-term sustainability. The role of our outreach volunteers is very important on how we approach even our neighbors and friends. We need to be a listener, an educator, a relationship builder, a representative of our partnership. We're not a policy advocate. We're not a tax advisor. We are not township representative, and we are not a decision maker on infrastructure. So our job is to inform, to listen, and to also build trust. Our key messaging pillars. Every conversation should reinforce these themes. And this is our theme for our watershed plan. Clean water, shared responsibility, science-based evaluation, and long-term sustainability. Inviting participation and support, we need community involvement is essential to the success of the watershed management plan. We especially need residents to complete our survey, which provides critical input that shapes recommendations in the plan. Our survey deadline is July 31st, 2026. The survey is accessible on our website or via a QR code on the volunteer trifold, so residents can take it immediately on their phones. Encourage friends, neighbors to participate. Emphasize that the survey has a deadline and convenience of the QR code to encourage immediate action. They can take long. A talking point, you could say, would be you could take the watershed survey right now using a QR code. It only takes a few minutes and your input is critical before the July 31st, 2026 deadline. Volunteers should also invite neighbors to visit our website, talk about it, and our Facebook page for updates and resources. Sign up for volunteer opportunities. Give whatever time you can. It all definitely makes a difference. Participate in community meetings. Support the watershed planning effort through donations. Keep the tone informational, friendly, and invitational. Some talking points on this topic would be, we're always looking for more volunteers. You can learn about all our volunteer programs like monitoring and outreach on our website. Commitment is very flexible. Just help when you can. Every bit counts. If you'd like to support the watershed planning effort, you can donate also on the website. Here's some things to say to engage people. We're developing a science-based watershed plan. We're gathering data and community input. We're evaluating different tools and approaches to determine what works best for long-term water quality. Community participation and support is critical to the success of this effort. Some things to avoid: saying, we need sewers. There's only one solution. Wake boats are a problem. Chemicals are ruining the lake. The current program isn't working. Even if personally held, these positions should not be communicated during an outreach or a friendly conversation about the watershed program. Conversation framework. Follow this structure during an outreach. Number one, ask what concerns you most about the lake. 2, listen. Allow residents, friends, neighbors to share without interruption. And validate. I understand why the cost is a concern. That's a fair question. 4, to be informed. Briefly share factual, neutral information. Invite engagement. Please take our survey to share your concerns and help shape solutions. Close respectfully. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and we appreciate your input. This outreach matters. Strong community engagement builds trust, strengthens grant competitiveness, improves data quality, expands volunteer capacity, helps fund watershed planning work, and creates shared stewardship. Trust must come before change. It comes from the community. During our community stewardship topics, some of them are during the outreach conversations, volunteers may share educational information about everyday actions that help protect water quality across the watershed. These also can be found on our website. Every property owner in the watershed plays a role in protecting the health of the lakes. Small actions, even by just your own property, taken by many residents can make a meaningful difference over time. And volunteers should encourage residents to visit the best practices page on our website, where they can find very practical information and resources.
Linda, thank you so much. Now I would like to turn it over to Kirsten, who's going to talk more about stewardship topics.
Thanks, Margie. So topics that volunteers may discuss with people include things like general water quality protection, septic system awareness, natural shorelines and native plants, invasive species prevention, and upcoming meetings and watershed initiatives. And these conversations should always remain informational and neutral and focused on stewardship and education. So one of the things that you'll talk about with people is water quality protection. And clean water depends on how land is managed throughout our watershed. Rain and snow melt carry nutrients and sediment and pollutants across the land and into our nearby streams and lakes. And every property in the watershed contributes to the health of the lake system. So things that you might say as a volunteer is that every property owner in the watershed plays a vital role in protecting our water quality. You might also say something like simple actions around our homes and shorelines can make a really big difference. You also want to tell people about our website again and our best practices page, which explains practical steps that residents can take to help protect the lakes. Another subject that you might speak about with neighbors is septic system awareness. And proper septic system maintenance helps protect groundwater and nearby lakes, but systems that are not maintained can contribute excess nutrients and bacteria to the surrounding water. So regular inspections and pumping help ensure that systems continue to function properly. So you'll want to share with the public that maintaining septic systems is one of the ways that homeowners can really help protect water quality. And you can let them know that regular inspections and pumping help keep systems working properly. And once again, our website has a best practices page with a lot of helpful information for property owners regarding septic system awareness and maintenance. Another subject you might come across is talking about natural shorelines and native plants. So native plants and natural shoreline buffers actually help stabilize the soil along the shore. It reduces erosion, and those buffer strips filter runoff before it reaches the lake. And they also provide really important habitat for fish and wildlife. So something that you might say is that natural shorelines and native plants help filter runoff before it reaches the lake.
Hey, you're about to do
I think it's the keyboard.
Could be. One could jump to the other.
Hold on a second. I'm going to mute. Okay, go ahead, Kirsten.
Something else that you might share, Margie, I'm ready for you to advance.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. You can also say that they also help stabilize soil and reduce erosion, these buffer strips. And you can also find examples and guidance on our website's, once again, best practices page. Another subject that you might talk about is invasive species prevention. So invasive species can harm lake ecosystems and really disrupt the native plant and fish communities. Prevention is the most effective strategy. Cleaning your boats, your trailers, and your equipment before entering and leaving a lake helps prevent their spread. Early detection is also key to stopping new invasions before they become established in the first place. So you can share that preventing invasive species is something every lake user can help control by cleaning boats and equipment before moving between lakes. And you can remind them that our website has more information about prevention on our best practices page. One of my favorite things on our website is the article called All Eyes on the Water. And this is a resource to help residents learn how to identify invasive species and support early detection, and even report the possibility of discovery of an invasive species. Lastly, you might discuss with them information like our upcoming meetings and the watershed initiatives that we're participating in. So community meetings that we have provide the public with updates about our watershed initiative and opportunities for residents to stay informed and engaged. And there's a calendar right on our website that allows you to view all our upcoming meetings and access those Zoom participation links. And those meetings are always recorded, and the links to the recordings are always available on our website. So even if you can't attend something, you can still check back later and and view it so you don't miss a thing. So you can share with people that we do periodically hold these community meetings to share updates and answer questions. And you can let people know that we have stakeholder meetings that take place monthly, and they're open to anyone interested in learning more. And of course, these meetings are held on Zoom, and you can find the dates, times, and links on the calendar page that's right on our website.
I think that's it. Thank you so much, Kirsten.
Thank you.
I'll take our next section, which talks about why we need this watershed management plan. So how the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership is helping the lakes. The following slides contain information that may be shared if residents ask for additional context about the watershed management plan and why it is being developed.
Tomorrow at 8 a.m. a quote for Harry.
Okay, first of all, currently no accessible watershed management plan exists, and any past plan would have to be over 30 years old. Lake conditions, land use, and recreational pressures have changed significantly over the past 30 years. Water quality science and planning practices have evolved over the past 30 years as well. There's a lot of cool tools out there right now that didn't exist 30 years ago. A modern data-driven plan ensures decisions are based on current information. This effort also creates a strong foundation for long-term water quality protection. Okay, most importantly, an approved watershed management plan is required for many water quality grants. This includes the Clean Water Act Section 319 grants, The Section 319 grants support projects like runoff reduction, shoreline stabilization, and habitat restoration. Without an approved plan, we are not eligible to even apply for these grants. Okay, why does this matter to residents? Well, developing a watershed management plan positions the lake chain to compete for those grants that I just talked about. It reduces reliance solely on local financial contributions. It ensures future projects are prioritized using data and community input, and it strengthens credibility with state and federal partners. Monitoring is the first step toward grant funding. When reviewing watershed grant applications, EGLE evaluates whether a lake community is actively monitoring water quality, volunteers are trained in collecting data, the community has demonstrated commitment to protecting water quality. So implementing monitoring now will significantly strengthen future grant applications for a watershed management plan and any implementation moving forward. State and local partners are already engaged. So this is, I know this is kind of hard to read, but this is our current steering committee. So we have representation from the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board. That board consists of all of the township supervisors, as well as county commissioner and drain commissioner. And there is one riparian at-large representative on that board. The Branch County Board of Commissions is represented with Rick Hollister. Ovid Township zoning administrator is participating on our steering committee, and I believe he's also going to become a board member as well. Eagle and Branch County Conservation District, the Branch Hillside St. Joseph Community Health Agency is involved. We are talking right now with a farmer who will represent the agricultural community, both on the steering committee and hopefully on the board as well. We're also in talks with some community businesses to represent us on the steering committee and possibly on the board. And the Coldwater State Park is involved. We have riparian representatives from all of the lakes except Wright and Long right now. So we do need some more volunteers for both of those lakes to represent those lakes on our steering committee. And then we also have some technical advisory folks that are helping us guide the technical aspect of this project. In particular, we've been working a lot with progressive companies. They are actually contracted with the Marble-Coldwater Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board to do some biannual monitoring and also our weed control program. They've been doing this biannual monitoring since 2016. So like Greg had pointed out earlier, that does provide us with some information that we can use already. We're also working with the Clean Water, Michigan Clean Water Corps, which is the program that we're running our monitoring through, our volunteer monitoring through. Michigan Cooperative Invasive Species Management area is working with us, as well as Branch County Drain Commissioner, who will not only serve in a technical position, but also serve as a decision maker on the steering committee. St. Joseph River Basin Commission and the Southwest Land Conservancy and the Michigan DNR. These folks have all been participating in our monthly stakeholder meetings. In addition, we're also working with Friends of St. Joseph St. Joe River Association as a possible, we're working out an agreement so they can become a fiscal sponsor for us. What this means is we're currently working on completing a 501c application, but this does take some time. It also will take some time to be approved. But by having a fiscal sponsor in the meantime, we'll be able to collect donations that will be tax deductible. So that is being worked out as we speak. Okay. So in addition to these numerous agencies who have partnered with us on this project, staff from Eagle and MSU MyCorps have already invested significant time with us. They've attended these meetings on a regular basis, and they provide ongoing guidance. They presented at the Coldwater's webinar last November, and they've been engaged in many technical discussions, side discussions. They've assisted us with HAB, that's harmful algae bloom, and foam concerns, and they've guided us to sign up for targeted monitoring. That is something that Eagle does, and that's usually a year out that they do that targeted monitoring. So we should be getting that assistance in 2027. They've also been exploring additional watershed inventory work that will be a potential cost savings to us. Right now, any technical work, we will have to hire a contractor that has that expertise to do. But some of these folks said that they could help us. Some of our volunteers work through a couple of those inventories, so we will have that cost savings that we won't have to pay a contractor for. Eagle also plays a key role in evaluating grant funding applications, so we really appreciate their guidance as we work through this process. Okay, long-term data shows that the lakes are trending towards a eutrophic state. I had already mentioned that Progressive is doing this biannual monitoring, and we have that data since going back to 2016. And this is showing that the lakes are all trending towards a eutrophic condition. And what this means is that this means higher nutrient levels, which it means increased risk of algae growth and reduced water clarity over time. Okay, so over here in the chart, you can see that the lakes are listed across the bottom. And then the dates are the legends that give us the years. So that's what all of these little data points are up here. And then the legend over here explains that the lower the TSI is, the fewer nutrients, which means less algae and clearer water. The higher the TSI number is more nutrients, more algae, and muckier water. So our goal is to keep that water as clear and clean as possible. So we want to get those TSI numbers down. Okay, residents are already seeing warning signs of the eutrophication. Many residents have already observed visible indicators of water quality stress, including algae growth, surface foam, and declining water clarity. These photos documenting these events help demonstrate that the current concerns being discussed are not theoretical. They are already visible in the lake system. And these are the images that came through on our website on that all eyes on the water page. So if you see any of these concerns, please submit, these images to us. Okay, and you can see that these images are on numerous lakes. We have Shawnee Shoals, Marble, which is Coldwater, and then we have other images from Marble Lake. And as we continue, we have more from Coldwater and Long Lake. So the point is we cannot solve water quality issues with one lake alone without addressing the entire watershed. Nutrients move through the chain, so solutions must consider the whole system. And that's precisely why the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership focuses on a chain-wide approach. Okay, the other thing is our area is one of the last remaining gaps in the regional watershed planning. Many areas in the St. Joseph River Basin already have watershed management plans. Regional mapping, this map here, highlights where planning efforts are in place. Our area is largely absent from this map. This makes our watershed a missing piece in regional planning. Developing a plan for the Marble-Coldwater system helps fill this gap. Okay, so once again, all of these color-coded areas, they already have management plans in place. This even includes the North Chain. They have one in place as well. So we want to start filling in these other areas of Branch County. And what this means is this larger watershed is the St. Joseph River Basin. We're part of that. And all of that water flows into the St. Joe River, which eventually flows into Lake Michigan, which eventually flows to the Mississippi and out to the ocean. So it's a worldwide event that we're undertaking here. So how this affects property values. Clearer water is consistently linked to higher lakefront property prices in multiple nationwide studies. Declining water quality can put downward pressures on property values. Algae issues and reduced clarity negatively impact lake desirability. Communities that invest in planning and protection maintain stronger markets. These are not just made up words. Once again, this goes back to numerous national studies that have been conducted. Protecting the chain of lakes requires action now. By developing a watershed management plan for the Marble-Coldwater Chain of Lakes, our community will be taking a proactive step to protecting water quality, maintaining the recreational value of the lakes, and help safeguard our long-term property values. Okay, so for our volunteers that are going to be doing this outreach, your voice matters. Representing clean water with integrity. You represent the professionalism and integrity of the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. Our credibility depends on consistent messaging, respectful engagement, neutral tone, science-based communication. Clean water starts with community, and community starts with trust. Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kirsten, who's going to talk about some sensitive topics that may come up in your discussions. So Kirsten, do you want to pick up here?
Yes, so the topics on the following slides that you're going to view can generate some pretty strong opinions sometimes. And as volunteers, we should not proactively introduce these subjects during our outreach conversations. If a resident raises one of these topics, we are to maintain a calm and respectful tone and respond using the guidance that's provided here. So this matters because we need to ensure consistent messaging from the partnership, and it will protect the credibility of our partnership as well. So these sensitive topics are hot button issues. We will not bring them up. If we are asked about them, we'll just follow the guidance in the volunteer handbook. We'll share factual science-based information. We'll reinforce that no decisions will be made until watershed management plan guides our decision making. And we will encourage the resident survey. So we're going to stay neutral and we're going to stick to the facts. And if somebody is passionate about something, we want to encourage them to take our survey. And that way they can log their concerns, and those concerns can be tabulated so that they can be factored into our management plan. So what's our official position on potential sewer infrastructure? This is definitely a hot button issue. The Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership is committed to evaluating all tools and strategies that could help improve water quality across the lake chain. So this includes considering whether sewer infrastructure may be a component of long-term solutions, but at this stage, no decisions have been made about sewer implementation. Our goal is to just gather accurate data, assess impacts, and consider all feasible options. Any future recommendations would require guidance from a completed watershed management plan, an engineering analysis, a cost review, environmental assessment, and extensive community input. So we might say we're studying all potential tools that could improve water quality, including infrastructure options, but no decisions have been made at this time. And you can say that our focus is on gathering data and listening to residents so that any recommendations are science-based and community informed. And lastly, we want to reiterate that the survey asks residents if septic systems are a concern. And so their input really helps us understand our community's priorities. So what's our position on wake boats? This is another big hot button issue. Everyone has an opinion or a feeling about it, but we are gathering information. So the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership recognizes that wake boats can impact lake beds and shoreline habitats. University studies show that large wakes can contribute to sediment disruption and shoreline erosion. At this time, the partnership is not taking any specific position on regulating wake boats. We do provide education on the best practices page of our website, and we really encourage all boaters to exercise responsible boating practices that adhere to the state of Michigan boating guidelines. So the community's input will help us understand all the local concerns, and that'll guide any potential recommendations in the watershed management plan. So right now, our current approach is to encourage responsible boating practices, to minimize environmental impact of the lakes, educate all the residents and wake boaters on the effects of wakes on lake ecology, and that's all on the best practices page of our website, and monitor emerging research and potential policy changes. So again, we'll use the survey that we want to encourage people to continue to take to gather community feedback on whether wake boats are an overall concern for people. So we can say, yes, we know wakes can affect shorelines and lake beds, so we really encourage all boaters to follow Michigan boating guidelines and use responsible practices. And again, we want them to take that survey because their input really provides context and helps our partnership consider everyone's perspectives on this issue as the planning process evolves. So we are not advocating for bans on regulation. The goal, rather, is to gather feedback and to raise awareness of best practices, which can be found, again, right on our website. So what is the partnership's position on aquatic plant management? This is another subject that we hear a lot of comments about, particularly on social media. And we want everyone to know that we support responsible aquatic plant management, in particular for invasive exotic aquatic plants. So we want to maintain recreation, navigation, and fisheries habitat and maintain ecological balance. We also recognize that native aquatic plants play a very important role in stabilizing sediments and supporting our fisheries. Lake conditions and plant dynamics can evolve over time, but long-term lake health may benefit from a whole range of aquatic plant management tools. So the existing aquatic plant management program is actually administered by the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board. This is not to be confused with our Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership Board. So the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board includes supervisors from Quincy, Algancy, Ovid, and Kinderhook townships. Also the Branch County Commissioner and the Branch County Drain Commissioner. It also includes one riparian owner at large. And the program is funded through a special assessment district on local property taxes. So this is the current weed management program is what we're talking about. So we say we support responsible management of aquatic plants, especially invasive and exotic species, to maintain recreation, navigation, and healthy fish and wildlife habitat. Native plants are really important as well because they help stabilize sediments and provide fish habitat. And we want to let people know that the current program for weed management on the Chain of Lakes is actually administered by the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board, which again is completely separate from the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership Board. And that again is funded through a special assessment district on property taxes. So any proposed changes to the current program that's in place would actually be submitted to the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board for consideration. And the board has an established process, which includes a public hearing, and that would apply to any proposed changes. So that board retains full discretion over all decisions regarding aquatic vegetation management. And as part of the watershed planning process, we are evaluating an integrated aquatic vegetation management approach. So what might that include? It might include chemical treatment, or it might include mechanical harvesting of weeds. It might include targeted non-chemical tools, such as something called benthic barriers or diver-assisted suction harvesting. We are reviewing nutrient reduction strategies, but we are not suggesting eliminating the existing programs. We are exploring complementary strategies to support long-term stability. So we can let people know that any proposed changes to the program would actually go through the Marble-Coldwater Chain Improvement Board's established process, including that public hearing and that board and that board makes all the final decisions about that. And we can say that we are reviewing a whole variety of approaches, including mechanical, chemical, and non-chemical tools to determine what will work best long-term for our chain. And just to remind everyone that we are not at this time suggesting eliminating the existing programs. Our focus is simply on exploring those complementary strategies to maintain long-term lake health. So some guidance for other sensitive or controversial topics includes avoid speculating or sharing personal opinions, acknowledge someone's concern respectfully, reinforce that the partnership is focused on data collection and community input. Encourage residents to complete that survey and visit the website for any updates. So if a question arises that is not specifically addressed in a volunteer handbook that you might have, these are some of the things you should keep in mind. So you can say, that's a really important issue. The partnership is focused on gathering data and community input at this time before making any recommendations. We encourage you to share your thoughts through the online survey so that your concerns can be formally considered. At times, you might feel unsure how to respond to a concern that someone has brought up, and it's important to let that resident know that you will pass the question along to our board. You can refer them to the website for official information, and you can always notify one of the board members after your conversation. But the most important thing is just to remember to remain neutral, respectful, and consistent with our messaging. And volunteers should never engage in a debate or advocate a personal stance or commit the partnership as a whole to a position. The final thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about volunteering and getting out there and going door to door with us is that you represent the professionalism and the integrity of the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership. So our credibility depends on your consistent messaging, all of us having respectful engagement with one another, maintaining a neutral tone, and always focusing on science-based communication. And as Margie said earlier, clean water starts with community, and that community starts with trust.
Thank you so much, Kirsten and Linda. I am going to walk us through a demo of how to sign up now for the outreach program. So you just want to go to the website and go to the Get Involved menu and choose Volunteer. Okay. And if you browse the volunteer page, you'll see that there is a lot of volunteer opportunities out there. This is where you'll find our lake monitoring volunteers, our Score the Shore volunteer information. There's where we can sign up for those, and Shoreline Ambassador program. But the one that we're interested in tonight is join our grassroots outreach and canvassing team. So this is just kind of a little brief overview of some of the topics we've already covered tonight. And you want to scroll down to how to sign up for outreach. So it says here, once you have attended the outreach volunteer meeting on April 7th, 2026 at 7 p.m. or watched the video. So this link will now be replaced with a video, and the link to join the meeting will disappear. Then it says download the outreach volunteer handbook. So you want to click on this link, and it's a PDF file that you can download and print. This is some material that you can carry with you or just print it out and read it and commit it to memory. But it's just another tool that basically covers all of the information that we've covered here tonight, but it'll give you a hard copy. There's two ways to get involved in outreach. You can join the canvassing on door-to-door approach, or you can help out at a community event where you plan to have tables set up at various events, or you could do both. Okay, the very first thing you have to do is complete the volunteer information form if you haven't already done so. So all you're going to do is click on this link, volunteer information form, and it's going to bring up this form, which is basically just collecting your contact information. It's going to ask you for your email address, your name, your telephone number. We also ask what lakes you're representing or you want to be involved with, and you can select more than one lake here. And then you have two different categories to volunteer. We have our water and field opportunities, and we have our planning and support opportunities. So our water and field opportunities are the things like the water quality monitoring, the Score the Shore, etc. Our planning and support opportunities is where you find our grassroots outreach, education, and canvassing. So you want to make sure you click that. Once again, you can click on other checkboxes as well. But if you want to do this outreach, you want to go ahead and select that. There is a next button, and I'm not going to fill out the entire form, so we can't actually see the next page, but all it's asking you for is if you have any skills that can contribute to helping out the organization. And then that's where you'll find the submit button. You'll go ahead and hit submit, and then you will be registered as a volunteer here. So after you complete that page, you're going to come back to the website, and you've already completed the volunteer form. So you can scroll down to signing up for canvassing using the interactive map below, or sign up for an event. Okay. So the way the interactive map works is it's literally a map of the chain, and the chain is color coded. The lakes are all color coded here. You can zoom in by pinching or, using your fingers to zoom in or out. You also have your plus and minus. It works very much like a Google map or, other maps. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here, and I'm going to find a cell. So you notice that there's these grid lines, and these grid lines represent different cells. Okay. So, or different areas that we're going to be canvassing. So I'm just kind of looking in my own neighborhood. I live in Shawnee Shoals. So I come down here and zoom in, and I notice, oh, okay, 109 is going to take me down Blackfoot Court, around to Tomahawk Trail, up to Tomahawk Trail to where it curves. I think, oh, that would be perfect for me. I can sign up for one cell. I can sign up for multiple cells. But right now I'm looking at this going, well, let me see what else is out here. And to the left, there's a section 72. But if I look at this, if I have to cross the channel to take these homes. But if I zoom in a little bit further, I can see, well, there's some homes right here on Tomahawk, which is right around the corner of where I'm already canvassing. I could take those houses, even though I don't want to take the whole cell. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on section 109, because I definitely want to take that whole cell. And when I do that, the legend here pops up and it says section 109, and it also gives me a link. So when I click on that link, it takes me to the spreadsheet where I can sign up, and it actually takes me to section 109. And all I have to do is click on the drop-down list next to the section, and here my name's in the list. So I would just select my name. Now, if your name is not in that list, it means you have not already filled out that volunteer form. But you can do that here. If I click on volunteer up here in the header, it brings up that same link. So that would bring us back to that same form that we just looked at. So I'm going to go ahead and select my name. And I really don't have any comments to add here, but remember, I was looking at that section 72. So I'm going to go back up there and let them know, hey, Margie can take the homes on Tomahawk. That way, whoever signs up for 72 will say, oh, okay, well, I'll sign up for 72, and I don't have to worry about, walking around the channel to take those other homes. They're already taken care of. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, if you come to this sheet and it's already selected, somebody has already picked that cell, you will not be able to make any changes to that cell. So you would just, come back out and choose another cell at that point. And once again, you can take more than one cell. The more you can do, the better. But, we have this set up so you can volunteer for as much or as little as you feel that you can handle. Okay, the other opportunity is to sign up for an event. This is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to have these tables set up at these various community events. For example, Welcome Back to the Lake is an event that they have down on the Marble end on May 16th. We have the Coldwater Native Plant Pickup on May 24th, Coldwater Food Truck Fridays. There's a couple of those. The Strawberry Fest in downtown Coldwater, Coldwater Pancake Breakfast, another Food Truck Friday, and Apple Fest. Those are the events that we are planning on having tables at right now. This list may grow, and we will, continue to communicate that to folks if we add more events here. But once again, to sign up for an event, all I have to do is select the event I want to sign up for, click on the drop-down list, and select the times. The times are all in hour increments, and I can select 1 hour, or I could select multiple hours. If I have 3 hours, if I have 3 hours to participate in, I could, select 3. And I can also then once again just choose my name from the list and add a comment. And comments are optional. You don't have to add any comments at this point, but I might want to say something like, I'm available to stay longer if I'm needed, or no, I have a hard stop. I have to leave by noon. I have, things to do. So you can make any comments there that you want. And that's basically all there is to signing up for an event. Okay. So that pretty much covers the demo. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing right now. And I think we are at the end of all of the presentations and demos. But before we open it up to Q&A, I want to leave you with one important thought. This is really meant to be a grassroots ripple effect. So think of it like a pyramid. You tell 10 people, they tell 10 people, so on, and continues to grow from there. So as you're talking with friends and neighbors, please encourage them to get involved. Point them to the volunteer page on our website where they can sign up for grassroots canvassing or upcoming events themselves. We'd also love for everyone to follow us on Facebook. We share a lot of timely updates and helpful information there, and it becomes a great place for community engagement. Now we'll move into Q&A, and we'll start with the questions that are already in the chat. And from there, we'll open it up for a general discussion. So if you'd like to speak, you're probably muted right now. All you'd have to do is, find your name and click that mute link to unmute yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our chat and take some questions.
Margie,
Does anybody have?
since you've been,
Okay,
Margie,
Greg, you want
since
to
you've
take
been,
our chats?
well, since you might have worn out your voice by now, I can handle the Q&A.
Thank you, Greg.
One of the first questions from Mark Jarmus, who's my neighbor on Marble Lake, says, have you considered a local radio station in Channel 3 out of Kalamazoo to solicit people to participate in the survey? Margie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've reached out to the local radio station, and I'm not sure. No, we haven't.
Okay. We have not, and I think Mark has brought that up in other meetings, and we need to do that. Thanks, Mark, for bringing that up again.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Kalamazoo, but yeah, it's a good idea as well. That's a larger population over there. I'm not sure. I think, my way of viewing it would be more of interest to the local community, but I don't know, how many people in Kalamazoo have places here or not, but through our outreach, I think we're trying to really target and very accurately target the number of houses we have and riparian owners around. Like someone asked, when will there be a deadline for our outreach? And I don't believe we've established a deadline for our outreach. I think it's kind of a continual process. I do think we are pursuing getting accurate documentation on who lives around the lake, addresses, names of each and every riparian owner, to make sure that we have contact with everybody with more one-on-one information.
Right. One thing I want to go back about the radio suggestion. We also have a couple of pages that will be exposed in the Lake Access magazine. So we've been working with Dennis Babchek of the magazine, and he is going to feature us in a couple of articles there. So
Mark also had a question about how many survey respondents have we had? Margie, do you know that number, or Kirsten?
you know what? The last I checked, it's under 100. I'm like pushing for that 100 mark. We're right around 80 right now, I think. So we're really hoping that this outreach, word of mouth, door to door thing, starts filling in those surveys.
Okay, and I just added a couple comments during the presentation. I'm going down the list here.
Okay.
During the septic part that Kirsten was talking about, just want to let people know that we are on our task list to contact some of the local septic companies to see if, at some point we can get a coordinated day of a certain section of the lake where they can come out and do a series of house pumping or inspections for septic systems, hopefully at a reduced cost. So that's one thing we're looking into. And then also, comment I had here was about the weed and transferring invasive species from lakes to lakes. We're in the process actually of equipping our boat launches with boat wash stations. 2 of those will be at least provided funding by, who's that funding from, Margie?
The St. Joe, is it St. Joe Conservation branch, I think. I don't know the official name, but it's St. Joe River Basin Conservation.
So there'll be wash stations. At this point, we're not planning on having a hose and all that. Right now it'll be bucket wash, but at least there'll be a station there. Hopefully buckets and brushes will stick around at least for a little while. So, and then this next question comes from Brent saying, I know that Coldwater Lake already has a managed septic system. Do any of the other lakes in our chain have septic systems? Brent, I think you're referring to sewer, not septic. I think Coldwater has a sewer system that ends partially into the Long Lake. Is that right, Margie?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure where it ends, but I think maybe almost half of Long is sewered. And Coldwater is sewered. Everything else is septic.
And then my last question was, or my last comment was, part of the effect on septic is the nutrients that do go in the lake. They promote weed growth along with algae. They provide excess weeds, both good and invasive species. So yes, weeds are good for the lake, but too many weeds aren't good for the lake. And promoting excessive growth, isn't good either. So and Gary asked, how many total lake properties are there and how many surveys do we would have to achieve 100%?
And we're estimating, we don't actually have the riparian, and we'll request this riparian tax records so we can have all the addresses. But we think there's around 2,000 is what we've been told, homes. And so once again, we only have 80 surveys filled out so far. So we definitely want to get those surveys in.
And another question by Gary is, do we have any data that indicates the biggest sources of pollutants in the lakes? And while we don't exactly, I asked this question in a stakeholder meeting, and this exact question in a stakeholder meeting, and one of our Eagle partners said, no, not really, but he said in lakes like ours, kind of like I have a friend, but he said lakes like ours, the 2 biggest contributors are septic systems and agricultural runoff. He didn't really elaborate on it any more than that, but it sort of makes sense. I mean, septic systems get old, they fail, people don't maintain them. We'd like to think our farmers are being responsible. Some of it may be just naivety on some of the what happens with runoff. And that's, I've read this about other lake associations, how they actually work collaboratively with farmers to help promote and even install best management practices through runoff ditches, stabilization of stream banks, or um, various drain banks and things like that. So we're looking into those as well. I think that's it for our questions. Anybody else have a question?
Right. If you have a question and you want to unmute yourself and speak, feel free to
This
do
is
so.
Mark Jarmus. I got a question or comment. You have a lot of great data here, and I would imagine most people are not going to have the concentration span to listen to this. So, are you contemplating a one-page handout that you could talk to somebody in 2 minutes or less to see if you can get them to nibble on the survey? Because I was involved in sales, and one of our training was, imagine that you're in an elevator. You have an elevator speech. You got 30 seconds to communicate your message. You can't do it in 30 seconds. The chance of closing on that deal is small.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Mark. That's a very good point. First of all, we have a brochure. It's a trifold, and actually I'm glad you brought that up, because all outreach volunteers, we will have that trifold available for them. We're actually waiting for that delivery, and we will get those all to Greg, and Greg will, as people are signing up, Greg will get, any number of trifolds that they need to those people. And that pretty much in a nutshell, covers the main topics. Like you say, we want to hit the main bullets and, get on. If we can't capture their attention right away, then we've lost them. The other thing is we're going to have these brochures and a single page brochure at the boat launches. We have, those real estate signs that you can pull a sheet out. We're going to have those at the boat launches as well, that have a single page of information for people to learn what we're all about.
Yeah, we felt it was important to get the people who are doing the outreach, a good bit of detail so they really understand what's going on. This amount of information, you're right, is not for everybody.
Right.
So, but I think, to be able to stick to the script for initial engagement, if people have questions, and the more they get involved, they can, look at the schedule, wanting dial into our various Zoom meetings to learn more information. That's always available. Anybody else?
Great comments.
Hi, Mike Noble from Crystal Beach, Coldwater Lake. And I just want to thank Linda, Kirsten, Greg, and Margie. If I have forgotten anybody, I apologize, but you've done an amazing job of putting together educational and organizational materials. Very professional. I'm really impressed and really excited. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. That's great.
I don't like to throw percentages around, but I think Margie's in the high 90 percentage.
Exactly.
Um,
A round of applause.
I'm at the low percentage, but
No.
yeah,
You kidding me? No, you have no idea how much time everybody has put into this. This has been a group effort, I couldn't have done it without these guys. So, and you know what? And we should mention there's two more board members, and we're expanding our board. So, if you're interested, let us know, reach out. But Sarah Roper couldn't be here tonight, but she has been phenomenal as well. She is our treasurer, and she's the one who's been working on the 501c application. It's like 40 pages long. So she's been working her little butt off too. And Trisha Lill, who is not only serves on our board, but also serves on the Marble Chain Association Improvement Board. And she's been our secretary and has once again, contributed a lot and has been a great liaison with Greg on that Marble board as well. So it's been a lot of work, but it's definitely a group effort.
Margie,
Go ahead.
Jill Slider, we're on Coldwater Lake. I am blown away by the work you guys have all done. It is very professional, very well done, and very user-friendly. But I have a question. I don't know her, but has any contact been made to Jennifer Wirtz, our state representative? She and her husband own a large farm on the east side of Marble Lake. I don't know. I know they're not right on the lake, but the whole agricultural runoff problem that we've had with some of the big farmers needs to be addressed. She would fill both those slots if someone approached her.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Yeah, thank you for that tip. And yeah, we'll definitely get in touch with her. We'll reach out. Thank you, Jill.
Uh-huh.
I've occasionally seen her up at the Refuge Coffee Shop up in Quincy. I don't know if she's a regular visitor like I am, but I have seen her up there a couple times. So
Say something to her.
Buy her a coffee. There you go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And a muffin and a breakfast panini and whatever it takes.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Both, we appreciate all of your comments and support. Getting into this, it's been daunting at times, but also rewarding to hear, people's feedback that tell us it is important work. So thank you for your comments.
Margie, I have another question. This is Mark. Of the people that make up your committee right now, how many are year-round residents and how many spent most of their life here in Branch County? So,
another good question, and I don't have a specific number for you other than just Greg right now is a full-time resident. But the rest of us, I think, are the people on the board are all part-timers or have homes elsewhere. So as far as like our stakeholder meetings, and our stakeholder meetings, remember, those aren't always local people either. Those are government and these other resources that we're using too. So I don't have an answer for that either. You know what, actually that would have been a good question to have on the survey, and I don't think we've covered it on the survey as well. So unfortunately,
one thing I'd like you to think about when you guys are talking amongst yourself, are there any target individuals you'd want to be part of it that were born and raised in Branch County that are year-round residents? So it's more of a grassroots from people born and bred in here versus individuals that have moved here.
We've got one on the line that has been born and bred in Branch County.
Well, good. That's good.
yeah.
I've just, Greg and I were talking about this weekend, is this all individuals that have moved to the area that don't have an established lineage in Branch County?
Cool. And what about Mark? Are you volunteering?
I'm already leading up 2 committees on the Marble. I'm going to be some laborer for Greg, so I'm going to help. But I'm already leading up a board member on the Marble Chain of Lakes, and I already get whispers from my wife on, hey, you got to make some time for me.
Oh, okay.
And the grandkids.
Like that sounds familiar, huh?
Okay.
Mark, thank you for everything you're doing. So. Any other comments?
Well, are you going to take an action to discuss among yourself who you're going to go target?
I've got 2 more people.
Okay. We don't need to know, but
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm telling you, Mark, I'm trying.
Super, great. I mean, I
Yes.
don't want to put politics in it, but you don't
I
find
get
it.
it. I get it. I
Right,
get it.
right.
Some that were born here, it served somewhere else or military or whatever, and then came back to live here. I think that says something, and that's quite a quite a buy-in.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
Great. Great information. Thank you. Okay, any other comments? We actually allowed 90 minutes for this meeting, and we're a few minutes shy of that. We're about 10 minutes shy of that. So if there's no other comments, we can actually wrap up a meeting early for a change.
I have one final comment as the social media coordinator of this effort. I would love to encourage all of you, if you use social media and are on Facebook, please seek out the Marble-Coldwater Clean Water Partnership Facebook page. Click like and follow. We are making posts multiple times a week to try to engage people and to build a following. And building that following is a challenge. So I think we are trying to get to the 200 mark, and we would like to be well over 1,000 really soon. So anything, I mean, volunteerism can look like just trying to share posts on your Facebook page or making a comment on one of our pages, because the more engagement we get, the more the algorithm spreads the love out into the world and more people see the information. And that is part of our mission, this outreach and education component. And so we'd really love to engage people in that way as well.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. Great point. Okay, well, if you guys have any other questions, please, email us or go to our website. There's a contact form there, and you're able to submit questions through that. And let me see, what did I do here? I had some closing statements that I wanted to make, and they've disappeared. I closed them instead. So let me make sure I am covering everything. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, our next meeting is April 21st at 7 p.m. And that is going to walk through the monitoring protocols for the water quality volunteers. So if you're interested in doing water quality monitoring, please make sure you join us on the 21st as well. Once again, that will also be recorded. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight and for your participation. It's been a great meeting. We'll be posting this recording on our website soon for everybody who wants to review it. I'll try to even get it out there tonight. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night.